Hi folks, Steven here. This is going to be yet another event recap. This time, last weekend I was at the Pokemon North American International Championships 2023 in Columbus, Ohio. Excuse me, I think I did not actually fully start the recording. There we go. Sorry, I always record a side audio thing on this, so I didn't have that completely started yet. In any case, so what we're going to do here is I have a presentation as per usual, but this was in Columbus, Ohio last weekend. I went as a spectator and mostly played in side events. So let's go and put that up. If you attended the event or have any questions about it, please do feel free to ask, and I will try to work those in or respond to you if you're watching this on replay. Alright, North American Internationals 2023. Like I said, usually, as usual, I have a presentation. Thursday, so that was my departure day. So I took kind of the same route as last year. Now I had hoped Madison here reorganized its bus system a couple weeks ago, after the Milwaukee Regionals, but before this event. So, unfortunately, although it does have a route that goes very close to where the campus intercity bus stop is, it doesn't leave early enough for me to catch my flight this time around. So I ended up, as usual, going to the Dutch Mill Park and Ride over on the east side of town. There's last year's picture. Here's this year's picture. You know, it's a little more gray out there. Unfortunately, the air here in Madison and in various other parts of the eastern U.S. has not been super great lately due to those wildfires over Canada and some of that smoke coming down across the border. So, inconvenience definitely for us, and a big problem over there. Hopefully that gets resolved eventually. We're kind of lucky we haven't had too much right here locally because of all the dry weather we've had. In any case, I took the bus down to O'Hare and took a quick little flight from there to Columbus. You can see I got to my gate fairly early on there. Let's see. Oh, in fact, I got to the gate. It doesn't even show my Columbus, Ohio flight. Instead, it shows one to Duluth, Minnesota. For those not aware, Duluth is in the far northeastern part of Minnesota, right up against the Wisconsin border, and Superior, Wisconsin happens to be on the other side, but near Lake Superior, of course. So, yeah, but you can see my listing for Columbus, Ohio for my flight there. Get into that a little bit later. I did decide, though, that I needed to grab some food, and I decided to go to somewhere with a long history in the Chicago area. Yes, McDonald's at the airport. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the history of the company, yes, the McDonald's original restaurants were over on the West Coast, and I think in Southern California. But the McDonald's we know today actually got its start around the Chicago area. So, not a surprise. Yes, it is a nation and worldwide restaurant chain, but they obviously have some locations over at O'Hare Airport. And this one happens to be at Terminal 2, since this was a regional flight. I was over there for United. You can see on the left, though, I have a muffin, blueberry muffin, and on the right I have a smoothie. And you notice it's decorated with the Grimace's birthday thing there. So, I'm not going to actually have a bunch of food to talk about here, because actually the hotel I stayed at had not only a continental breakfast, but also an evening service of food. So that's something that won't figure in too prominently here, but this is one of the meals I did buy while I was out there. So after I got my food, I realized they had actually moved our gate, so I had to go somewhere else. It was actually to a gate that was like one of those weird gates right before you go onto the actual concourse, really. But in any case, I did manage to play some Go while I was there, and I decided it would be a good idea to do that, and I actually managed to catch a shiny Lotad, which you see right here. Wasn't especially great stats-wise, but kind of nice there. I also talked with some folks around the gate. There were folks from various parts of the country, and in fact, I think there were some folks from South America that I was talking to as well. This is the North American Internationals, but it is open to even Japanese and other parts outside the normal place here are certainly welcome to come to these. Alright, so I made it to Columbus just fine. Took a ride over to the convention center. I had a hotel right near there. In the convention center, you have to go through a little bit of a rigmarole to get to the actual main convention halls A through D. Pokemon was an A and B this time around instead of C and D like usual. But over by some escalators, they have this really neat, must have been very specially designed mural that goes down the escalators and stairs over there. You can see it has the Scarlet and Violet starters in their basic form in the bottom right, and then as you move up the escalator, they gradually get to their evolved forms at the very top. So very, very cute there, very clever. Obviously, it kind of has to be designed. It's designed to fit on that, hand railing right there, on the wall. So they did a pretty interesting job with all of that. Alright, so like I said, this is still Thursday, so the main tournament hall isn't open yet. You can see here we have a bunch of people in line for the Pokemon Center. I didn't really bother with this one. The Regionals one has never been, it does get a lot of attention, but I don't know, I'm trying to manage how much stuff I take back. But you can see there's a fair number of people here on Thursday for it, so we'll see how that works out. But one thing I wanted to show here is near the entrance they have this big bin full of plushes. Not sure exactly what they were going for here in terms of decoration, but that's, I guess, kind of interesting. Some other stuff outside the main tournament hall that I spotted. There's the Play Lab, which is sort of a learn-to-play type of area. I think they also are probably doing some demos of Pokemon TCG Live there, I would suspect. So, and then over on the right, you can see they had a professor seminar, I guess it was. Obviously, there are a lot of professors in the area since this is a large event with a lot of judges, but you can see some of that there. Alright, so Friday, first actual day of the event. Here's a view of a good chunk of the area. There's some things over to the right you can't see, like they had a couple of murals up related to Scarlet and Violet, as well as a sort of beach pool party area. I'm not sure exactly. It wasn't there wasn't actually water in the pool and stuff, but a lot of beach or picnic it was kind of weird. But in any case, you can see they have, I think, a bit more space this time around for it. At least it seems like that. But otherwise, it's kind of the usual setup. Lots and lots of tables, all that fun stuff. Over here, you can see part of the side events area. That was about in the back of the hall, away from the main entrance. They have a fair number of tables here, and then also here is a bit of looking the other way. But basically, the back, I don't know, third or quarter of the space was used for side events, at least on Friday, when everyone is, most folks are still in the main event. And you can see a number of folks here. So what did I actually do for side events there? Well, first off, first thing I actually did was another Ditto draft. And the way the Ditto draft works, the main gimmick is that once per turn you can do an evolution you wouldn't normally be able to do by using your Ditto marker, which you can see right here. So that's one of the constants. This one ran a little bit differently than some of the other Ditto drafts I've been in. What this one did is you had a 20-card deck that you made from one pack of cards plus basic energy, and you did a draft as you move the cards around. So you can see here we have a Ditto ticket, but that was one thing there. I also took part in the scavenger hunt for Pokemon Go over the weekend. No way I was going to get all 12 of these, and I apologize that some of these are cut off there, but you kind of get the idea with all of these. They were divided into 3 groups of 4, Team Spirit, Battler, and Idol. Kind of knew I wouldn't be able to get through all 12 of them. But my goal was kind of to get through 6, which I did, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Alright, so one of the other things I did on Friday was a build-in battle, and I managed to pick up this card. This is Miraidon EX, actually a fairly valuable card, and this is the correct term is full art for this. But you see it has that ability Tandem Unit, which lets you grab basic lightning Pokemon, which depending on what you get in your build-in battle can be quite useful. Some folks were actually I originally did not have this in a sleeve until actually one of my opponents donated one. It is a fairly competitively valuable card, and yes, I understand the desire, even though I'm not a competitive player, to keep it in good condition there. So we kind of see this, I forget the name of that dog thing there, but looking out the window at Miraidon in there. So very nice art in there. We'll get to some other pulls later. Alright, Saturday. Let's see. So first off, I want to point out one of the scavenger hunt tasks was to take down either Team Rocket Grunts or some Shadow Raids, and there was an Articuno Shadow Raid. Articuno is my favorite of the first 3 legendary birds. That's another reason I'm on Team Mystic. And I actually got, at the end of it, it wasn't a terribly difficult one since we had a pretty good troop going for it, but I got the Charged and Ready, I don't know if it's achievement is the right word, but I used 15 charge attacks, and that wasn't a super long thing, so getting 15 charged attacks, I guess, is kind of surprised me that I got it up that high. Alright, so there was another Scarlet and Violet build and battle. They didn't have Paldea evolved, we'll talk more about that later. But they did also do an expanded one, and they had, I guess they must have been cleaning out their warehouse or whatever at Unbroken Bonds. From Sun and Moon, they had those around there. This was interesting for kind of a few reasons. First of all, this is a fairly old set at this point. Sun and Moon released in 2016, so this is 16, 17, 18, somewhere in there. And in fact, a lot of folks signed up for the tournament and then didn't actually bother to play in it. They grabbed their stuff and just kind of left without actually building a deck, keeping their build and battle box sealed. Apparently these go for a decent amount on eBay, more than what the entry fee was. But I decided to play there. So actually, in my first round of this one, I actually got a free win because my opponent decided it was more worth their time to not open it, and they didn't actually show up for the first round. In the 3 build and battles I did over the weekend, they were all 3 rounds each. I managed to do with 7 and 2, so both this Unbroken Bond ones and the Paldea and the Scarlet and Violet one from Friday I was 3-0 on, so pat myself on the back a little bit for that. But yeah, some folks just couldn't be bothered, so a lot of free wins in there for folks in the first round. The other 2, I definitely legitimate actual games. All right. So, Sunday. Let's see, a couple things here. First of all, although there was not a trophy involved with this one that I'm aware of, I did attempt to win a championship of sorts in Pokemon Puzzle League. They had a marathon high score challenge there. As you can see there, my score, 74,687. They were pretty surprised there. I guess that at that point was the highest score they'd seen, but you can see on the right, I had already gotten passed up later in the day, and in fact, a couple more people passed me, and I finished outside the top 3 there. If they were surprised by my 74,000, I can only imagine someone fainted the 300,000. Not sure I could match that. I think I could do better than the 74,000 with a few more tries. As you can see, it took me about 41 minutes to get that score, and if I had, tried a few more times, I might have been able to outdo that. But all the same, not super broken about it. Congratulations to the folks who managed to beat my score there. Bear in mind, if you actually look on Game Facts, on one of the main facts there for this game, my name is on there because I wrote that one way back in the day. So I guess that should prove something. I don't claim to be a top runner of this game or anything, just relatively decent. Alright. Yes, Goosephone. But actually, well, this is a cosplayer that I met up with. She actually ended up finding out I had seen her at Milwaukee's regional earlier in June, where she was cosplaying as Skyla, and this weekend she cosplayed as a few more times. We've exchanged information, and I should be getting some questions to her within a day or two, and I hope to have a written interview up on the PokePress blog with her this weekend. As far as actual side events, though, on Sunday, I missed the build and battle. It was pretty early. All the scheduled events were fairly early. But I did play in a few more Dittos, and I managed to get those in, and had a fair amount of fun there. One of those I managed to get actually a little bit more points as well. And so I cast those all in, and I got a couple different things. One of them ended up being, I had a total of 450 points, 360 of which went to a box of Scarlet and Violet, which I will probably donate to be used at as additional prize support at an upcoming tournament or something like that. We'll figure that one out later. But as far as actual things, let's see, I got a couple things. I got some sleeves that I don't have in front of me at the moment. They have Calrex on them, so that was kind of fun. I also got, take a look here, this Quaxley promo box. So, that's kind of fun, although the actual booster stuff, I'm not sure I'll do too much with this. And a code card for the TCG Live, but it has all 3 starters kind of featured in there. But it has a Quaxley pin. That's what makes it the Quaxley box. That was the starter I actually picked for the game, so I decided to pick that one up. I also picked up this Palpitoad plush that they had there. They had a lot of Gen 5 plushes. I'm guessing they were cleaning some stuff out. I tend to think that the perception that Gen 5 was really poorly received is overblown, but it did seem like they had a lot of like the Elemental Monkeys and other stuff from Generation 5. But some of you who know me know I have a round deck that I made back all the way in Generation 5. Let's see, although the copyright on this, by the way, says 2022, so it's not that old, I guess, or at least it was probably not made more than a year or two ago. But I have a round deck which uses the Timple Palpitoad Seismitoad line, and thus this is a Pokemon I have close association with, I guess. And of course, it's a sound-making Pokemon, which, being musically inclined, is always a fun thing. So that's what I bought with my tickets. And like I said, I'll have that cosplay interview hopefully up this weekend. Alright, here are some notable pulls. To be honest, I'm not sure I got a ton of interesting stuff. There was obviously Miraidon EX, which is a fairly valuable card. But here are some other ones. Let's see, we have Spidops EX, one of the new bugs in Scarlet Violet. I have a Gold Porter Koraidon EX, very nice card there. Let's see, I haven't played Scarlet is the one that's from. And then Professor's Research. So, if you can manage to get 6 tasks done on the Pokemon Go thingy, on the Pokemon Go scavenger hunt, you got to pick a stamped card, I guess from the the Pokemon Go set. So they have the Professor's Research here. They also have other options like Rare Candy and some other things from the game. Of course, Professor's Research is likely to keep coming back, as it would Rare Candy, but this is the card I ended up picking from that. If you got all 12 tasks, you actually got like a little TCG tin from the Pokemon Go set. Alright, Monday. Not really a lot to say. This was my return day here. The most interesting part was actually coming back from on the bus. They were a bit over capacity. I ended up having to switch buses and then switch back because they accidentally undercounted or whatever, or overcounted, and basically ran out of seats on the first bus, and I had to move to the second one, which was already there because they knew they had more people. But basically, I had gotten left out, had to switch buses. I also, once I got back to Madison, I went and visited my sisters in town. So I went back to my mom's place to visit with them. Took care of some laundry, and then eventually came back to Madison that evening. So nothing too special on Monday, but I did want to fill that out there. Alright, overall thoughts. So one problem with side events is they often seem to start late. I think this got better as the weekend went on, but especially on Friday and to a certain extent Saturday, they always seemed to be behind on things. And I think partially this was a communication issue between the people selling the event stuff, which are Generation Games, I think it is. I know that Gaming Generations, I think is actually the name of the company now I think about it. They're based out of, I think, Onalaska, which is a city in Wisconsin near the Mississippi River on the west side. La Crosse is a larger city right next to it. But they run all of the billing for side events as well as the retro consoles and whatnot for a lot of the major Pokemon events and some other things, some major fighting events, you might see them. But there definitely seem to be some communication issues, so hopefully they get that ironed out. I think some of the Generation or Gaming Generations folks are going to be in Japan for Worlds as well. So something to definitely work on there. And also some issues with kind of like knowing all the rules, because like the thing is the Ditto especially like changes a little bit each place. There are some base rules, but because it's not really a sanctioned format, you're allowed each event kind of rewrites them just a shade. Alright, my other sort of comment there, no Paldea Evolved? Really? Like, I can understand for Milwaukee because the set wasn't really officially out, but now it's been almost a month. And it was, I'm pretty sure, legal for the tournament. So it's a bit surprising that there wouldn't be anything available there. Everything was Scarlet and Violet, other than some of that Unbroken Bonds and a few things like the stuff in my box here. So, kind of disappointed since I've really got a lot of Scarlet and Violet. I'm not sure I need that much more. Certainly of the more common cards in there. And then Flyer CD cassette. So yeah, those of you who have met me in an event know that I like to have 3 different types of free promotional items. I usually have flyers, which are usually a song parody I've written on a flyer with the names of the websites highlighted and whatnot. CD, I often take episodes of my podcast and burn those to a CD and let people have that as a thing. And then cassette. So I always say, no, that last one is not a joke. I really have audio tape. And I actually got a fair number of takers. I came in with 6 cassettes. I only have 2 left now. I'll have to make some more for Worlds, obviously, along with some of the other stuff. But it's always kind of nice with that. So if you've humored me on some of that, thank you. Okay, so a few more wrap-up things before we head out for this. First of all, Pokecasters Network updates. I don't know when I'll be getting another episode on the feed there. It should be the Poke Park Wii Pikachu's Adventure music discussion. Let's see. But in terms of other shows on the network, they have some recent episodes. In fact, some of them just came out today. I guess some folks used the July 4th holiday to get some stuff done. Poke Science Regigigas' landscaping services. So I think they're talking about changes in landforms over time and how that impacts wildlife and so on and so forth. Welcome to the world of Pokemon. Boy, they're getting close to the end of Gen 1. They've got 147 Dratini. And let's see, Not a Scratch. Arc 6, Episode 0. Rose's intro. Would you like a Pokepuff? So it looks like they're starting a new arc there on the Not a Scratch podcast. And then let's see, the Pokemon Snapshot. So this is an anime episode-by-episode podcast. They're up to Stage Fight, which is an Orange Islands episode, judging from the number there. I believe this is the one where the characters have to do help out with a voicing over Pokemon within the anime itself, which is kind of interesting. Alright, but that kind of covers that. Like I said, hopefully I'll be able to get the next episode of the digest out relatively soon. Alright, but we are also planning another live discussion. This will be our next discussion to record, which is the music of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity. Not the most popular entry in the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon side series, but I think we're going to definitely get some stuff out of the music there. I am hammering out the final details with Anne, but we expect to have it this weekend, probably in the evening, Central Time anyway. So keep an eye out for that. I should be scheduling that as soon as we have a date and time nailed down. Okay, well that kind of covers, like I said, very busy weekend with a lot of stuff going on. But let's see. Oh, DDD033. So has a number of comments about Pokemon Puzzle League. Gen 5 is great. Everyone else is wrong. Thank you very much for coming in. We certainly appreciate that. But yeah, so like I said, this upcoming weekend should be our next discussion. But aside from that, I think that mostly covers things. So thank you very much for tuning in, folks.